Welcome back to the Master Your Money podcast with me, your host, Marini Jackson, your guide to mastering credit, building wealth, and creating financial freedom. Let's get into today's episode. And I am going to pull my notes up so I can stay on task. So, today we're going to talk about something that definitely does not get enough attention in personal finance, but personally, or quite frankly, it controls so many of our decisions. Today, we're going to talk about the psychology of overspending. As a financial literacy coach and podcast host, I'll say this plainly: overspending is rarely a math problem, it's an emotional pattern. And if we don't understand why we spend, no budget, no app, no spreadsheet is going to fix that long-term problem. So this is all with our mindset. And first, we're going to start out with finding out about our triggers. So there are usually 4 triggers that cause us to spend. And the first is reward spending, where we're telling ourselves, I deserve this. And this usually shows up after you've worked hard, you've hit a goal or a milestone, or you've simply made it through a tough week. And you may say, you know what, I worked overtime, or I finished that project, I earned this. Or you may say, I've been so disciplined lately, I'm just going to treat myself. But what's really happening is that you are using your spending as a reward system or a celebration tool. And the risk is that these small rewards can quietly become entitlement spending. And when I say entitlement, again, we go back to the I deserve this. You may say, and I've been there myself, where I felt, you know what, I've had a long week. I literally, and I was telling someone this, I think either the same day or the next week after it happened, but essentially I'd gone, run some errands, finishing up my work week. The errands got done. I had some time where I was just saying, you know what, I haven't eaten at this particular restaurant in a while. And I knew exactly what I was going to order. I usually order that anytime I go to that restaurant. I was driving in the car, just thinking about how I'm going to enjoy this particular meal. When I, get to the restaurant and order it, I knew how much it cost, usually how much I tip. All of these things are in my mind. I drove in the parking lot of the restaurant, parked my car, sat there for a second, and I opened up my phone, my banking app on my phone for my bank. I looked at my bank account. I knew, again, exactly how much I'd be spending. And just something, reminded me, you know what? You have a refrigerator full of food at home. So I didn't even get out the car. I went ahead and put my key back in the ignition and drove home and just ate the food at home that I had in my refrigerator. And the lesson I learned is that you can create planned rewards, planned times for you to, reward yourself, treat yourself, and make sure you have it in your financial, strategy, so that you can enjoy that without guilt or sabotaging yourself. Because sometimes those little those little things can become a trap, and that can definitely derail us in our finances. So the second thing is relief spending. And with relief spending, that's essentially where you tell yourself, I need this to feel better. And this is an emotional spending that's tied to stress. Now, or to anxiety when we're frustrated, or even if we're sad. Now, I've watched movies, but I'm pretty sure some people do this in real life as well, where they've had a bad day, they may have lost a deal, their beloved breaks up with them, or something like not great happens, and they're like, you know what? I'm gonna go have this dessert. I'm gonna have some people drink, and they say, you know what? I'm gonna do this because this thing or this person or whatever made me feel bad. So I'm gonna use this other thing that I'm gonna spend money on to feel better. So after a hard day, some people may say, you know what, I'm going to go online and buy something nice for myself. I'm going to go on Amazon and I'll get it tomorrow or in 2 days max. Or after a conflict, as I said, if maybe a conflict with a loved one or their boss, things of that nature, then they go eat out or they go make some impulse buys. But what you're really doing is you're using spending as a coping mechanism. Uh, what do they call it? Retail therapy. And that is going to give you some temporary relief. You're going to feel good then in the moment, but long term, it's going to create more financial pressure because you don't want to continue to cope with life's challenges with going out to spend money on things you may not need. So spending doesn't have to involve, or it doesn't solve any of your stress, but it rather delays it, and sometimes it multiplies your stress. Just think of this. If you had a bad day and you just went to your local Marshalls, TJ Maxx, or insert whatever your favorite stores are, and you just bought something, and then you later on have more stress, go buy more things, and you're trying to fill that void and cope by using your finances. This one, it gets a lot of people. It used to really get me in the past, especially if I had time, or what people say, time to kill, and I've had to notice this one and break the cycle, break the pattern of it. And this is boredom spending, when you may say, you know what, I don't have anything else to do. I have 30 minutes before my next appointment or meeting. Let me just run into this store real quick and see what they have. I'll just walk around. And what you do for physical stores, you wander the store and you buy things you didn't plan for. Or sometimes we don't even have to leave our home. We can just pick up our phones and just start scrolling. And you find that you have clicked added to cart and it's on the way to your house. I have numerous friends at my gym who I've heard them say, I saw this on TikTok and it looked cool and I bought it. And they have a perfectly good mug that they were using, but because this particular creator had just something with, I guess they felt were, extra bells and whistles, they bought this new item and now they have 10 cups and don't know what to do with them. Just giving that as an example. But what you're really looking for is you're looking for some stimulation, novelty. Some people love having mail, getting something addressed to them that's not a bill at their house, or like having those boxes and unboxing and opening things. So these mindless purchases, they often don't align with your goals. And instead of being bored and mindlessly scrolling, you can use your time more intentionally with you have some activities. Spend time with your family and friends in real life, in person. You can take walks. You can learn something new. You can create content. You can build some skills. These are just a few things that you can do with your time. You don't need more stuff. You just need more engagement where you're not passively sitting behind a screen and pointing, clicking, and adding to cart, or simply using, you know, wandering aimlessly and wondering why you have a cart full of items. So, this last one may step on some toes, but we do have to address this. This is identity spending. And this is where some people say, well, this is who I am. And as you notice, there are no logos or anything on this shirt or this shirt that I'm wearing. But some people, perfect example, my leader at work, he recently went to the Masters, like one of the practice rounds games, and he was just telling my colleagues and I, like, all these different things, like he was telling us different things were free, but what people really go for is the merchandise. And he says it is no problem for people to spend like $5,000 and buy merchandise uh, because it has the Masters logo, the emblem on it. And this is who they are. I can afford to buy this item. And this really runs deep for a lot of people. They may dress for a lifestyle that they want, may buy a certain car, which may have a higher maintenance bill because they want to, dress for success, fake it till they make it, or buying things to fit in or to feel successful, and spending to match a certain image. And this happens more often than not. So much more often. But what you're really doing is you're using money to reinforce or create an identity. Now, I'm going to give a caveat. Now, I have noticed with some items that, quality sometimes is better than quantity. Like, I'll say this, my mom has always taught us, have on a good pair of shoes because you're going to have your feet for a lifetime. So, definitely invest in a good pair of shoes, not, some that you always have to buy like every few months. But overall, like some people, they, dress for the life they want. And there are so many creators who help to perpetuate this mindset where, and I'll just use terms like level up, glow up, and, a lot of people, they watch this content, and I watch some, this is how I know, they've watched content, and because they want to fit in or be perceived a certain way by certain groups of people, they will spend exorbitant amounts of money dressing for a lifestyle they desire, but they may not be at that point. I'm going to say it how I say it off camera to my friends or family. They may have champagne taste, but they have a club soda, financial infrastructure. Not saying that wanting to have nice things is a bad thing, but realize where you are. And if you're spending, realize why you're spending. And you don't want to live beyond your means to maintain an image. And your identity should shape your spending, not the other way around. Your identity is not, whatever label you're trying to achieve that you feel is like the ultimate. Um, at the end of the day, at the end of our lives, we are not taking that stuff with us, and people are going to fight over it. Your family or whoever is going to, you're not taking it with you. Bottom line, yes, it's important to look nice, but do not let that identity become so consuming that you begin to, live beyond your means. So this is the challenge I have for you as my listeners, and we're going to call it Name It Before You Buy It. And this is simple but very, very powerful, and it goes like this. So before you make any unplanned purchases, pause and ask yourself, what emotion is driving this decision right now? And then say it out loud if you can, or if you can't, just say it in your head. And you can be saying, you know what, this is a reward purchase. Like I was telling you about me pulling into the drive or the parking lot for a particular restaurant I wanted to go to. Not that I really needed to go there or I was starving, nothing like that. I was wanted to reward myself and have this meal. Um, you could be stressed and you may say, I'm stressed. This is relief purchasing. Or you may say, I'm bored. Or you may say, I'm trying to feel like that version of me, that girl, or that guy. So when you pick up that item or those items, or right before you're adding it to the cart and about to check out, please pause 60 seconds. Name the emotion and then ask yourself, will this purchase solve the real issue? And does this align with my financial goals? And then make your decision with intention, not just emotion, or not with emotion. So remember that awareness is going to break the cycle. I've been there. I've known others who've been there. And it just can be a vicious cycle. But when you can name the trigger, you can regain control of the decision and the situation. And because the goal isn't to stop spending, we all have to spend money. It's to spend with alignment, to spend with purpose, and to spend with intention. So I hope that you have gained lots of value from today's episode and talking about the psychology of spending. And it's all about our mindset, of course. But thank you for tuning in to the Master Your Money podcast. If today's episode helped you, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new lesson on mastering your money. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a review and share this podcast with a friend who's ready to build their financial freedom too. And if you're ready to take the next step, visit me at virtuefinancialsolutions.org to learn more about my coaching program, workshops, and resources to help you on your financial journey. And until next time, remember, you don't just manage your money, you master it.